Good morning, friends. We are getting towards the end of this preparation, which is preparation before Lent starts. And this is Quinquagesima. This coming Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, which is the start of the preparation, the period we call Lent. So let's take advantage of this last Sunday and see what we can learn. The intent is very suggestive. The Holy Spirit as the fire of love. So we like to think we know a lot about love because we listen to Countdown or the Top 40 or something like that. And that is maybe a little bit about the fire of love if you're a teenager. But I think there's a little bit more to it, and I think we need to find out the foundation of the understanding of love. So let's look at the collect. Always a good place to start. The Holy Spirit, who has taught us that all our doings without love are nothing worth. So there we go. This is the sentence, hasn't quite finished yet. The Holy Spirit has taught us. So this is the teacher, the Holy Spirit. The Christ within us asks us to soften our hearts so that love, wisdom, that combination, love, wisdom, can come in to our consciousness. That's the path of Christianity. And before Jesus moved out of, he didn't disappear completely, but he wasn't visible to everybody. He didn't leave the earth. He was always on the earth. He never left it, but he was invisible to our conscious eyes. He said to his disciples, pay attention to what I've been saying all this time. And you would have forgotten a lot of things. But the Holy Spirit will come, and the Holy Spirit will remind you of everything that I've told you and bring it to your mind. So the Holy Spirit is the teacher. So this is a very nice opening line in this collect. O Holy Spirit, who has taught us that all our doings without love are nothing worth, pour into our hearts that most excellent gift of love, the very bond of peace, the very bond of peace, and of all virtues, without which whosoever liveth is counted dead before thee. Sounds a bit drastic, doesn't it? Counted dead before thee. Now, how can a collect be talking about that? So if we don't qualify for this love stuff, we're just counted dead before thee. What this collect is saying, spiritually, it's what in our hearts that counts. Yes, we've got a body and we have to enjoy it and look after it. But that's actually not the main game. The main game of what we're doing here on earth, carry out our duties and obligations, enjoy life, and be aware that we are divine at our very essence. We have Christ in our hearts, in our very essence. And so, without that love flowering in our hearts, in the very essence of where that resides, we might as well not have a body. We're wasting our time. God's infinitely patient, and the cycles of birth and rebirth will go on for as long as they need to for us to learn these lessons. And we'll learn about that a little bit more when we come to the Epistle, which Wendy read this morning. So, the excellent gift of love is something we really need to find out about. So let's try and find out about it. So let's look at the Epistle, St. Paul. St. Paul, as we've spoken before, started off really on the wrong side of what you might think a good Christian should do. He was rounding up Christians and persecuting them. Then, as we mentioned, he had this traumatic experience. We might use this word catharsis, this really spiritual, enormously painful time where he transitions from one sort of life to another, from one point of view to another. Whenever that happens in anybody, it's traumatic. It really takes a lot to move from your typical point of view, which you've always sort of had, to a brand new point of view. But St. Paul did it. And he was very familiar with what are called mystery schools, which are schools where you learn about the esoteric side of life. So when he talks about mysteries, St. Paul is talking about that. And this particular passage, which has been chosen for the epistle, you hear it a lot being said at weddings, and so it should. It's very nice. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not love, I am become as sounding brass or as tinkling cymbal. So straight away, he's resonating with thoughts that are coming through the collant. Unless we have love, all this physical stuff that we do is not getting us anywhere spiritually. We might be rich, we might be able to get tickets for the grand final or whatever that we really want to do with our bodies, but we're not getting anywhere in terms of what our unique role is. The unique role that only we can do to fill the part of God's plan which we've been given to do. And we have to nut it out for ourselves. So we've got to work at it. We don't just sort of get it through Weet-Bix packets or anything. And so the epistle goes on. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understanding all mysteries, that's the mysteries I spoke about, and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and have not love, I am nothing. Now this is something, isn't it? Because Jesus used this particular expression. He said, if you have enough faith, you can command that mountain there to move, if you have enough faith. What St. Paul is saying, and what he's reminding us, having been himself taught by the Holy Spirit, is, yes, that's really important in terms of having faith if it's focused on the right thing. But even if you wanted to demonstrate that on TV, and maybe you could become a moving mountain influencer, and people who wanted to move mountains would come and see you. He didn't say that, I'm paraphrasing. But what does it count for? Spiritually, nothing if it doesn't have love behind it. So this love aspect, very powerful, more important than the ability to be a heavy machinery operator in the mountain department. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profiteth me nothing. And then the definitions of love: suffering long and kind. It doesn't envy. Love vaunteth not itself, not puffed up. Rejoices not in iniquity, rejoices in the truth. Love never faileth. And where there be prophecies, all those will fail, or they'll be not quite right. Where there'll be knowledge, it won't be the full knowledge. It'll disappear, it'll vanish. For we know in part now, and we prophesy in part. But that which is perfect in love, when it comes, it'll be there. And then he uses this lovely expression: when I was a child, I thought as a child. So we can paraphrase that and say, when we're learning to be Christians on the path, when we're learning what our role in life is, when we're learning about those things, it's good to have the mind of a child to be open. But we've got to remember that we've got to move on. We've got to move through that childish period, that childlike period even, move into a full realization of what? That we are in essence divine. And so we should start to seek and act like that. In essence, we are divine. In essence, we have to be aligned with the love of God. That's the job. So then in the Gospel, which Matto read this morning, it's a bit mysterious, isn't it? Sounds a bit funny. So, somebody's asked about the kingdom of heaven. And so Jesus is giving an answer. Now recall, whenever you've got a story that sort of sounds a bit strange, you've got to step back from it and say, something is being explained to us of the spiritual rules of life. The spiritual rules of life. And Jesus is going to set up this lesson in terms of everyday life, but it's going to sound like it's very strange everyday life, because really he's talking about the laws of the spiritual life. So, kingdom of heaven is like a man who sets up, and he's got a vineyard. So everybody in the crowd listening to Jesus knows what he's talking about. And so he's got a vineyard, time to pick the grapes. He goes out and he says, and people stand in the marketplace where they want to be hired, you and you, come and work and I'll give you a penny. Oh, that's great, off they go. Work away. Pretty hot day, picking the grapes at the end, autumn probably, pretty still toasty there. They've got their plus 30 sunblock on, so they've all been very good. And then he comes out in the middle of the day and says, why are you people standing here in not doing anything? They said, well, nobody's hired us. Well, I'll hire you. Go into the vineyard, go and help, and I'll pay you what I think you're worth. And off they go, and they come again, and so on. And then he does it again. And then at the end of the day, he says to stewards, round up all those ragamuffins and line them all up, and I'm going to pay them. And so he starts to pay. He says, bring the ones that started the latest. Bring them first. So they come along, and he gave them all a penny. The same as he promised the first people. And the people at the end of the line could see what was going on. So they started grumbling. What's the story? We've been working hard all day. And Jesus says, you don't set the rules. The vineyard is life. I'm just paraphrasing now. The vineyard is your life. And you come into the world and you work in the world. But you don't apply your rules to work in the world. You apply God's rules to work in the world. So you don't say, well, I've been here and I'm 80 years old and I'm going to heaven whether you like it or not. Well, actually, no. The spiritual rules we must learn. From where? Good news, the Holy Spirit can teach us this. How do we do that? We be quiet and think how our heart can be softened and opened. And in that still, quiet time, we get little glimpses, little indications, and they get stronger and stronger. And as we learn more and then align ourselves with those little glimpses and those little sort of flickers of, oh, that feels right. I'll do that. I'll stop doing that. I don't think that's getting me anywhere. I'm going to do this instead. So we take our courage in both hands and we do what has been indicated to us by the Holy Spirit active in our hearts. And just like these workers, or not like these workers, we don't complain. We be aware that we're not setting the rules. We're trying to find the rules, God's rules in our life, so we can flourish. It's most important. We flourish when we're doing this. We don't get a big long face and get miserable. None of that stuff. We get happy. Burdens fall off our shoulders. We feel light. Our heart becomes as light as a feather. That's the indication we're on the path. So, we're coming up to Ash Wednesday where we prepare. We've learnt lessons in these days coming up to the start. Now we apply them. We learn even more lessons, but it's best to get the schoolroom all tidied up, get your desk all clean, get some good stationery, a good pen, ready to go. Now you're all set. You've been aware of some shortcomings in your own behaviour. Don't worry about that. Just don't keep doing it. Just do the new things. So these ideas are well worth thinking about, friends. Ponder them during the week. Take advantage of them. And then you can grow in Lent itself. So it really becomes a very interesting time for us, for me, for you, for everyone. I commend all these things to you.